Hello and welcome to Asian Voices. I'm your host, Katelin Zhou. On today's show, we'll meet with two Stanford University students who are advocating for better diversity in ethnic studies and allies for racial justice in our school curriculums. We'll then meet one of today's most popular and entertaining, multi-talented online Asian American influencer and entertainer. Later, we'll also discover a community-based theater group unlike any other that is rooted in exploring immigrant and refugee experiences through their transformative theater workshops and performances. Those stories and more coming up next on Asian Voices. Let's meet two amazing Stanford University students, Jasmine Nguyen and Katelin Zhou, who are founders of Diversify Our Narrative, a student-led initiative that petitions school boards nationally and whose mission is to expand their current outdated curriculums and textbooks in the belief that public schools not only have the capacity but also the obligation to better educate students on race and diversity issues. They are empowering our youth in advocating for changes in our educational curriculum's approach to racial diversity and anti-racism that is not being taught in classrooms.
We started Diversify Our Narrative, me and my really close friend Katelin, when we were discussing our own respective histories and how when we looked into the school system, we realized that we'd never really been taught a lot of the things that we'd started to become educated about during Black Lives Matter.
The core of Dawn is to basically just provide more literature that is more diverse. When we reshape and diversify the narrative, we're able to create a political education that serves marginalized communities.
I think personally I had a pretty good childhood growing up, but there was one thing that I was always really conscious of, which was my race and my ethnic identity and background.
I think that growing up, I was surrounded by a predominantly white neighborhood as well. And so because of that, I was often questioning my own beauty standards, how I looked, how my culture was different. And so I think that was always something I'd kind of known about, but never really was able to express or really touch upon.
Going to college and being able to take classes that really have to do with social issues, social justice, so on and so forth, you really start to understand that, there is more to history and to culture than what you were sort of fed in schools. I think we have a tendency to just sort of assume that whatever we are being taught in the status quo is exactly, the complete history, the full history. And you see that's really far from the case.
We met when we were juniors in high school. And basically what it was I was new to this organization, the Junior State of America, because I had heard about it from a summer program that I did prior. And basically, Katelin was already involved for many a year. She's been involved since her freshman year.
All of our education when it came to learning about BIPOC individuals really happened in college, and very little of that happened actually within high schools. I think for me personally, within my own high school, with all the English books that we read, only one of them was by and about a person of color.
Our mission is to increase the number of diverse and anti-racist texts in schools alongside other efforts that try to include more voices of color, specifically in the educational system. I would say that's the most succinct way to go ahead and put it.
We've amassed a really large social media following, and so we have over 187,000 followers on Instagram, which is super duper unprecedented, but also extremely cool because we never really thought that we would be able to have, that much influence when it comes to educating people about social issues and racial justice on social media. So that's been really awesome. We have over 800 chapters nationwide. We have over 5,000 organizers interspersed, and so those are all high school and college students pushing for Diversify Our Narrative within their respective local chapters. And we also have created a lot of different board resolutions. A lot of our chapters have passed these new policies that either allocate funding for BIPOC books within their school districts, they implement DEI committees at their school to really address issues of racial justice, so on and so forth. It's been incredible. And I think the last thing that really comes to mind, because there's just so many things that our team has been up to, is we have a National Curriculum Council, and they've done a lot of work on creating a bunch of resources for educators throughout the country on anti-racist teaching practices.
I think that's something I felt really heavily growing up, was that Asian Americans usually aren't seen in the political or activist sphere. There is the model minority myth, of course, that groups us all together as doctors or engineers. And I think it's very rare for people to see strong Asian American leaders, especially Asian American women or non-binary folks. Having grown up with the American education system, I never really saw myself reflected in spheres of change. And so I think that something I would want Asian American activists to know, especially youth, is that you absolutely do have that power to make a difference. There is a deep and rich history of Asian American activism specifically, and just because those stories aren't being told doesn't mean they don't exist. The model minority stereotype of us being doctors or engineers solely is highly untrue, and I highly encourage you to take a course on Asian American studies when you get into college, because you will see the absolute richness of how many of our ancestors and the people who came before us really worked to pave the way for Asian American activism and a lot of the rights and a lot of the things we see today. And so ultimately there's nothing stopping you really from getting involved, and there are plenty of grassroots Asian American organizations that I highly recommend.
I would just really recommend, doing what you believe in and standing up for any issues of justice for your own community and for all other BIPOC communities and any other issues that you care greatly about, and to not really let any of that hold you back. I think it's really, really important that, you spend time really doing something good for the world, and so I think don't let any sort of weird societal expectations really hold you back from reaching your full potential. I'm Katelin Zhou.
I'm Jasmine Nguyen. This is our voice.
Welcome back. So, what do you get when you combine a talented rap artist, comedian, and YouTube personality? Tim Chantarangsu, of course. Formerly known as Traffic and Tim De La Ghetto to his fans, we at Asian Voices meet up with this multifaceted entertainer and influencer to learn how a popular 90s sitcom TV show literally changed his life and share his next adventures with us.
How would I describe myself professionally and personally? I mean, personally, I just feel like, I'm a laid back guy.
Oh, come on, man! Block, bro! What are you, blind? Come on!
Tim, what are you watching?
SpongeBob.
I like to joke around a lot.
I'll be on it. Oh, God! What?
I am a entertainer / rapper / internet personality. My parents came to the US, probably came around the 80s. Then I was actually born in Montana. And shortly after I was born, we moved to California. We lived in Long Beach for about 10 years until we moved to Paramount, where my family opened up a Thai food restaurant, Thai Smile restaurant. And we had that restaurant for about 20 years before they retired and sold it. I really decided that I wanted to pursue the entertainment industry when I was watching an episode of The Fresh Prince, and The Fresh Prince was like my favorite show growing up. And I remember there was an episode where Carlton Banks, his tuxedo shrunk before he was supposed to go to a dance. And so he had to get a last minute tux to go to the dance, and it was like a really nerdy baby blue tux. And there was a group of nerds that came up to him and they were like, "Carlton, nice tux." And I remember specifically seeing this Asian guy was the one nerd that was like, "Hey Carlton, nice tux." And I remember thinking, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen an Asian guy on not only my favorite show, but on TV ever, that wasn't in like an old kung fu movie. And I thought, wow, if if this is the first time people have ever seen an Asian guy watching The Fresh Prince, then if they didn't grow up around a diverse area like I did, then this is their whole perception of Asian guys. This is how they see Asian guys because they haven't seen anything else, you know? And I remember thinking like, I'm not like the stereotypical nerd. My friends aren't like this, so I really wanted to get out there and just kind of represent for the quote-unquote cool Asian guy, you know? So that's why I made it my goal, like one of my goals, to really get into the entertainment industry and like just put on for my people and my Asian dudes and represent and just kind of show a different side of us.
I said, oh my God, I wasn't ready. So maybe, baby, we could get it poppin' confetti. So we a match. I'm a savage and I know that you petty. I wanna be your cuddle buddy, take the place of your teddy. So just...
Babe, look, I can't take this, okay? Can we talk?
No.
I love you.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Look, I'm an idiot.
Keep going.
When I decided I wanted to get into the entertainment industry, I told myself I was gonna do everything that Will Smith did, and I made a plan for myself. It was called the Fresh Prince format. And it was to do everything Will Smith did. So rap, TV, movies. So I set those goals for myself. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and be a rapper, try and get on TV, and I'm gonna try and be in movies just like everything that Will Smith did in his career. And luckily when I found YouTube, it really opened up a whole new audience and a whole new way to get your face out there. So when I started uploading videos on there, I think there was a whole audience of young Asian kids who had never seen people that looked like them, you know, being comedians and rapping or singing. So there was like a whole demographic of young people who were like excited to see just Asian entertainers.
Yeah. Okay, fresh out the box, so come play with me. When you come into the room, I can't help but freeze. Ken and Barbie, that's what we could be. So let's catch a buzz and play with my Woody.
Toy Story.
Yeah.
I was on the MTV show Wild 'N Out for like 6 seasons, and I've done little parts in movies here and there, and I've done some touring with my music, but you know, I really just want to keep on pushing and keep the momentum going and like take everything next level, you know? But as I got older, I made it a point to be proud of my language and my culture and where I come from. And that's why like, especially if you watch the vlogs, you'll hear me speak in Thai, talking about the food, talking to my parents, and loudly and proudly with it. So it's like, you know, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And so I started thinking about why I even decided to come up with a stage name in the first place. And I had this epiphany, like, if I really want to get to the level that I'm trying to get, then it's not gonna be a matter of them being able to pronounce my last name or not. Like, they will have to learn my name. You know, I feel like a lot of young Asians, they can be embarrassed about how their name sounds or their language or their food, and I really want like Asian people to be proud of their food and proud of their language and proud of where they come from. So I was like, okay, let me show that I am also proud of my last name and kind of like just pay respects to my people and my dad and just where I'm from, you know? So that's why I was like, if I want to be accepting awards in the future, I don't want to be accepting awards as Timothy De La Ghetto, I want to be accepting awards as Tim Chantarangsu. So that was the goal.
Boy, you a chili de arbo.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know what you get. All right, let's get it. Dip it into the consomme.
Oh my God,
like
I'm so excited, I'm so excited. I've never had this before.
I have a food show with David So, comedian David So. It's called Send Foods, and that's on Thrillist's YouTube channel. We're just right here, you know. We're connected in terms of our sense of humor and our love for food. You know, also like we're not the typical timid, shy Asian guys that you see on TV. You know, we're pretty out there, and I think people are not only like, they don't only find us entertaining, but you know, they're also like, sometimes they're a little surprised by how out there we are. But you know, I think people love to watch, and we have fun eating and getting drunk and talking shit, so it's a good time. I always try to go after what I want and take a chance to go after my goals, because I would hate to look back and just feel like, damn, what if? Just because things aren't going the way you expected them to, it doesn't mean you're going in the wrong direction. It's just like, you know, you gotta take baby steps, and as long as you're moving forward, I think then you're moving in the right direction. So I am Tim Chantarangsu, and this is my voice.
Welcome back. TeAda Productions' mission is to expand the awareness of issues affecting underserved communities through the development and presentation of performances by people of color. Cross-disciplinary performances incorporate theater, performance art, and dance. Let's meet TeAda Productions founder and artistic director, Ova Saopeng, who shares his insights as to why this unique collective of performers and artists represent many voices in our community that would otherwise never be heard.
I was born in Savanakhet, Laos, and my family were refugees. We had to leave and escape the country of Laos to come to Honolulu, Hawaii, and that was in 1979. We wanted to leave the communist takeover, and that's my father had been working with the Royal Lao Army. He was fighting alongside the US, and so his life was in danger, and so was ours. I had been doing theater throughout my whole high school and middle school years, and so when it came to college, I wanted to pursue it, and so I applied and I graduated from the University of Southern California with a Bachelor's of Arts in Theater. And one of the most impactful and powerful things that I learned being in theater and being a performer was just how transformative it can be. It was very, very powerful to be able to be on stage and make your audience laugh and your audience cry. I thought that was really, really powerful. Currently, right now, I am the co-artistic director of TeAda Productions. TeAda Productions is a theater company, a nonprofit here in Los Angeles. It's based here, and we are focused on stories with communities and specifically refugee and immigrants. And we want to uplift those stories and promote them through theater. TeAda Productions began back in 1996. And it was started by my partner in life and in art, Leilani Chan. She's the founding artistic director of the company. She's also from Hawaii. The unique thing about TeAda is that we work with communities and we try to be as respectful and really connect with the community. We are the artists and we have that knowledge, but the community has those stories. TeAda started because Leilani and the company really wanted to be able to nurture and cultivate artists from the margins, artists who were not getting attention, who weren't on the mainstream. And so that's kind of how TeAda began to start and rooted itself in artists of color, artists who are refugees, artists who are immigrants.
The army was my life. The army taught me everything.
Refugee Nation was a play that Leilani and I developed and created with the Lao American refugee community, and it explores just the refugee experience from Laos. And currently, we have our current show, Masters of the Currents. It's a play that's dear to our hearts because it was the first play that for us, Leilani and I gave an opportunity for us to return back to Hawaii and to give back to what we say in Hawaii, kokua. TeAda would like to continue to do this work with different communities and really engage and craft and develop really wonderful works. I think there's still so many stories to tell, and how do we tell them, and how do we tell them in a way that is authentic and is equal and that helps to elevate those communities. So I think that's the future of TeAda. I am Ova Saopang, and this is Our Voice.
This program was made possible in part by the California Arts Council, advancing California through the arts and creativity. Team Metro Real Estate, helping families with real estate investments in San Diego since 1990. Contact us today for your free in-home market valuation. Promote your organization or event online today on Asian Pacific Community Connection Business Directory website. Asian Voices was brought to you by Asian Culture and Media Alliance, empowering our Asian and Pacific Islander communities through media arts since 2013.
Please support the only television program
that creates a voice of real change.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
Asian Voices.
This is our voice.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. But be sure to check out other Asian Voices stories on our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But before we go, I'll leave you with today's music video by a talented music artist. I'm Katelin Zhou, and I'll see you next time on Asian Voices. Until then, take care, everyone.
Said you got me, said you want me like you should. Holding you so tight, everything's alright, but I'm indifferent. All I ever wanted, all I ever needed was love. You couldn't give me what I really needed. That's tough. Talk to me, baby, run it up and pay me enough. Listen to your worries, all of them are stories, but tell me more and more and more and more. Tell me more. Tell me more and more and more and more. Tell me more. Need attention just to say